If I were to ask you what standard tuning is on a guitar, most guitarists out there would probably say EADGBE. Every guitarist knows this tuning by heart. Every guitar you get comes tuned to this tuning. But the question is why? What is so special about these arrangement of 6 notes that every guitar is tuned to this tuning? Unless you're cool and you're like me and you play a guitar and drop G sharp or A sharp or C because you're cool. That also poses the question, why isn't it one of those tunings? Why isn't standard tuning drop C, drop A, whatever? Why is it EADGBE? This is something I started asking myself lately because I was curious. Why exactly is that the standard? So I did some research and I actually learned something pretty interesting. I think that maybe you guys would find this interesting too. Because as it turns out, it's actually pretty simple reasoning for why that's the tuning. But in order to know why that is the case, we gotta go back to the past, Samurai Jack style. The appearance of the first modern guitar, quote unquote, came from back during the Renaissance, specifically around Spain and France. It was often referred to as the vihuela, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right, and featured a 4-course design, or 4 pairs of 2 strings. The 4-course vihuela stayed the main design up until about the 15 to 1600s, when it went up to 5 strings. The new design, also referred to as the Guitarre Battente, I'm gonna get crucified in the comments, featured an extra pair of strings and 2 more frets, bringing it to about 10 frets. Later on, 12 frets. With these extra pair of strings came a new standard for tuning. EADGBE. Boy, does that sound familiar to you? It does to me. That is because that is the current top 5 strings of a guitar. So we have kept that style of tuning since the 15th century. I forget when exactly the 6th string came about, but that's where we get the basis of our modern standard tuning. Now, for years upon years, other stringed instruments, like the violin for example, were actually tuned in fifths, which just means all the strings are a perfect fifth apart from each other. And the people who play these instruments agree that fifths is the best way to tune their instrument, and they can't tune it any other way. And this is where guitar tuning becomes a little more unique, as the strings in a guitar are tuned a perfect 4th apart, besides the 2nd and 3rd string, which is a 3rd apart, a major 3rd to be exact. But why is that the case? Well, put simply, it just makes life easier. Yes, that is why EADGB is the standard guitar tuning. It's just easy. But to explain that a little bit, guitarists needed a way to transition from complicated chord structures to scales with the least amount of hand movement. Tuning the guitar in perfect fifths makes it so that certain notes are further apart from each other, which requires more hand stretching, more hand movement. But by meeting in the middle and tuning to 4ths rather than 5ths or 3rds, anything else, all the notes are closer together, which makes it easier to transition from those chords to scales, while also keeping the guitar comfortable to play. Now the other question is, why exactly is the G and B string a major 3rd apart? Why not continue tuning in 4ths? Well, if we did that, we would end up with the tuning ADGCF for the top 5, which sounds fine on paper, but is actually a big no-no. So the question is, why is that bad? Why is ADGCF a big no-no? For a good explanation of this, let's turn to Richard Lloyd, a prominent TV guitarist and instructor. This was what he said when he was asked about guitar tuning. The guitar is a larger scaled instrument which is played sitting in one's lap, Lloyd wrote. Even though the cello is a larger instrument than the violin, it is played with the neck vertically, which allows the hand to have a little bit easier time reaching for notes. With the guitar sitting in the lap and the neck diagonal to the player, the bend in the wrist starts to make it more difficult to spread out the fingers. So the next best choice for tuning any larger scaled multi-stringed instrument is going to be to tune in 4ths, which are a little closer together. On a guitar, a person with a normal sized hand can reasonably be expected to sound the major third with the pinky finger while holding down the tonic with the index finger, so it makes sense that the next string should be the fourth. He also pointed out how if we did tune to EADGCF, it would introduce a minor second interval, E to F, which is less than pleasing on the ear to say the least. Due to these issues, we settled on EADGBE. This tuning makes it possible to play complex chords while also being able to play scales without a problem. The difference between the second and third string also being a major third also helps keep chords easier to play, as if we tuned in fourths, we would have to stretch more in those strings, and I'm sure some of you out there know, some chords are already pretty hard to play. I don't think we need to make them harder. Now, this was a very stripped down explanation. If you're interested in learning more, there's plenty of sources out there, but that's pretty much the gist of it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe. I don't normally do education type content like this, but I thought I would share something that I found interesting that I learned myself. And if you want to see more educational type stuff like this, let me know down below. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next week, hopefully. I'm trying. Peace, guys.